Career Talk. I'm Hannah, and we're here today with Mark, who's a project manager at the stadium. How are you today?
Doing well.
Awesome. So what does it mean to be a project manager?
Basically, as far as the position goes, I have the oversight on the entire project, from all the financials to schedule, subcontractors, and then basically facilitate the project within a budget and a schedule to the owners, and make sure there's contract compliance and we're building what we were told to be built or build from the owner and the documents that they gave us. So just general oversight on everything to make things happen and make adjustments as necessary to meet financial or budgetary items.
Did you need any special degree or training to become a project manager?
Definitely experience in the industry. I do have quite a few college credits. CCI requires a lot of field experience if you don't have some formal education and experience.
What kind of field experience did you have before becoming this position?
Worked my way up. I did basically everything. I started off in the office doing a lot of CAD and things. I moved into field superintendent, and I did that for quite a few years. And then pretty much just kind of started doing projects where I was the guy, whether I was the field superintendent, and then kind of mixing into the project management. So definitely the superintendent experience is a strong requirement.
So for this project, can you tell us a little bit about what you've done as a project manager?
Yeah, absolutely. We started this project quite some time ago. That's a lot of the things people don't see. I've been involved with this project for several years, on and off, whether it's design, budget, things like that. So I sat in a lot of design meetings and working to try and achieve a budget with the owners and architects, engineers. So we got through a lot of the design items, then it went into budgetary phases, and because it started getting a lot of traction, people are excited about it, we ended up going for early start permits, and basically what that allows us to do is start construction without having the rest of the design finalized. So we started working on the project, and we took our sets of plans as we completed them. We did a structural, which is basically what you need first from the ground up. And then we did the building finishes and everything else in a second bid package, and went through all of those and started contracting and built a schedule. Basically, with the project team, started finalizing everything. So, and now it came into fruition. We started construction, and now we have a full set of plans, and we're ready to finish. So,
when do you foresee the stadium being finished?
It'll be ready for baseball in the end of July this summer. So, beginning of fall.
Awesome. So for today, what projects specifically are you overseeing?
A lot of because it's a unique project, there's things that you don't, as CCI and just in general, people don't do every day. And we have some large light poles, we have scoreboards, a lot of specialty audio visual equipment. So those are the areas we're focusing on now. There's the field itself. A lot of big items that have yet to go in. So I'm dealing with the coordinating and ensuring that everything they submit and tell us they want to build is right and what we asked for. And then just working with the schedule to make sure it's going to be here in time.
What's your favorite part about being a project manager, just in general?
Just to see people grow. I've been doing it a long time. It's fulfilling, and so is, you start from nothing, or you renovate, or you get to see, a grass field turn into a baseball stadium. It's super exciting and fulfilling.
Specifically for this stadium, what's the most interesting aspect of your job, do you think?
I would say being able to work with contractors that we don't typically work with, very specialty that in the science and the technology and everything behind the different systems, the turf, everything that you look at that and what goes into it, when you just look at it and see the green field, there's a whole lot more that's involved with that, and those type of items.
So speaking of technology, is there anything important on this?
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about your scheduling and stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a software we use. What's up here, it's a web-based software. This is where we manage a lot of the documents for the project. It's anything that anybody, all the contractors that we hired, they provide what's called submittals. And if they have questions, they're RFIs. So all of that is housed here, and you can go into the different areas and you can see, anything from our plans. So all the sheets are listed in here. Every page, every piece is in here, as well as the submittals and RFIs. So if somebody asks us a question and we don't have the answer, we can reach out to our architects and engineers and provide them the information and get an answer to the question. So this is real critical. It's a collaborative tool as far as the submittals go. It's a collaborative tool with our architects, engineers, and owners. Everybody can see this, and it has everything that we're putting into the project, from materials for the concrete, the type of, all the way to these really 140-foot tall stadium lights that are going in. Another piece that we use is I use this quite often. This is our schedule for the project, and I go in to monitor how things are. The superintendent updates this, and I just go to make sure everything's on track, and if I can see something is going sideways or not on schedule, we can make adjustments to get back on schedule or ask questions. So it's a tool we use to prevent falling behind on the project. So, and then let everybody know where they're at. So that's kind of what we use this thing for. And it's good for project meetings, and especially in today's world, they're virtual. So.
If there was a student who came and asked you what they should do if they wanted to take this career path, what kind of advice would you give them?
Definitely work hard. Education is, whether it's self or comes via experience, that's what they're going to have to do. A lot of what I do is problem solving, so definitely have to be strong with problem solving and being able to communicate to a lot of different personalities. So I would recommend that they get started somewhere and work their way up. And continue some education along the way, whether it be self-education and they're trying, or a company apprenticeship, or college. All of it's going to help them be a better project manager.
So we were talking about the turf grass earlier, which is really interesting to me. Can you talk a little bit about how you choose that and why it's needed?
Yeah. So the team we had here, I brought in a couple of contractors, and we sent out a general specification that says we want to do a turf field, and we left the professionals to kind of tell us what we wanted. This is a multi-use facility with a focus on baseball, obviously, but there will be other players and people that come here. So a lot of the turf selection was made based on that, because it's a variety of product, different thickness, and then there's what they have is these infill media. It can range from sand to rubber to cork. There's a whole lot of different media that you can put in there, which definitely affects the baseball playability. So all the things to consider for that, we considered, this is Wisconsin, the freeze thaw. We do get a good amount of rain, so all of those things kind of affect what selection we needed to make for the turf field, and we feel we selected a real high quality professional level baseball turf that's going to last for many years to come.
So there's a lot of specific education that you have to have for this project. Were there any other projects previously that you had to learn interesting or weird little facts just to make sure that everything went perfectly?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, you asked me about what do I enjoy, it's that exactly. We've done everything from railroad to building a baseball stadium, so you really need to research and educate yourself on what goes into it. A lot of it surprises you. You just look at it and kind of take for granted, well, that's not that difficult, it looks easy, but you find out there's a rhyme and a reason for why and tolerances, what materials people use and why they use them. So that definitely keeps things a lot of fun. But the background that helps for this project is being willing and able to search that down and ask the right questions.
Can we look at the turf samples?
Absolutely.
Okay, so what are we looking at right here?
So what we have here is I'm holding a sample of the colors and the infill media. It's hard to see, but if you kind of pick a little bit, there's these little tiny rubber pellets is what we ended up. So that's the infill media I talked about that they can groom and fill to adjust the playability and keep it consistent, as well as the safety for the baseball players. It provides a little bit of cushion and gets it to play like a natural grass field. And then this side over here is what's the warning track, which is around the outside of the baseball stadium, kind of around the walls. And this is a turf material as well, different color to mimic clay, like used to be used and still is in many stadiums.
So what do you mean specifically by a warning track?
So the warning track is a perimeter around the outfield walls that gives a baseball player an idea of when and where they're at on the field. So as they go to catch a fly ball, the warning track is filled with a different media, so it feels different under their feet. That tells the baseball player that they're near or about to hit an outfield wall. It's a safety mechanism, and there's a couple of different medias that you have in your box there. One of them is really kind of tiny crushed up lava rock is what it's called, and the other one is sand. What it does is, like I said, give them a very different feel under their feet, so it's obvious of where they're at on the baseball field.
It does sound like there's a lot of technology in just what I would think is the ground for baseball players. Yeah,
and definitely, I guess another thing we didn't talk about is what goes underneath this. There's a lot of, there's called a finishing course, so that it's graded properly to baseball field. And then all the drain piping, there's a couple miles of drain pipe that we're going to be putting in underneath this. So when we get the big rains, they'll literally be able to play baseball the minute it stops raining. So there'll be no downtime.
How is the turf installed? Is it in little sections, or do you just put it all down in one big piece?
Yeah, so that's a good point. They come out in long rolls, and they literally sew the seams together so it appears as a seamless field. And once they get everything stitched, then they'll bring it back over and they'll keep going on to the next roll. It's kind of like carpet as well. One item to point out is this has a little concrete curb that's poured around where the colors change, and then around the pitcher's mound. And then there's also little concrete curbs that get poured around the bases. So that will all be, on this field, it'll all be clay, natural clay. And that curb gets buried in the ground, and there's a wood that gets fastened to it so that they can stretch this out similar to how they do stretch carpet in a house, really, but this is on a much larger scale.
There's different rocks in here than there are in here. You said this is sand.
Mm-hmm.
So why are you going to use different types of materials?
So the rubber that's in this, the little rubber pellets, this has a real cushy feel, and it's safer for the baseball players when they dive to catch the balls and things like that. When they fall, provides some cushion. In the warning track area, we've got these, like I said, it feels different underneath the foot, so there's these little tiny lava rock. This is what was actually selected. One of the options was the sand, but that feels very different underneath the foot, so the player knows where they're at in the field. But generally speaking, the majority of the field is filled in with this rubber that provides that playability for the baseball player, and how they fill this and the different thicknesses that they put this material and the warning track material affects how the ball plays. So they're trying to mimic a real dirt and grass playing field, and that's how they do it, is with this infill media and these rubber pellets, how much they add and take out. So it's definitely something that gets done every game. They'll regroom the field, and they have a groomer that runs around and either adds or removes pellets. It's pretty neat process.
Different projects you've completed, are they in the area? Do you pass by them on your way to work? Like, how do you feel about being able to see that?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of buildings I've worked on in the community. This being just another one that is going to be pretty awesome to bring my family to, and we'll definitely watch games. I'll probably even show it off a little bit to them, because it is really something neat for Beloit and our local community.
Before you started actually building and there was all the preparations, was there any difficulties with trying to find common ground with certain people, or just what was that process like?
Yeah. We worked with several teams, and it even goes before it came to us as a construction team, part of the design. They needed to select a sponsor, a major league sponsor, and didn't have one. So we were designing this trying to meet the current Major League Baseball standard for the stadiums, and that the standards, there's a wide variety of things that are covered in the standards, as far as the lighting levels on the baseball field, how many lockers, how many square feet. So it's real detailed information. So a lot of that was incorporated into this building, and from the first renditions of the stadium, it changed quite a bit, because there was a new set of standards that was a draft that was going to be for 2021. Now it's out, but of course we started this project prior. So some of the challenges even with that was we wanted this stadium to be the showcase and meet all of the standards. So there were some additions. One of them was a batting tunnel. We added a batting tunnel to the project. So that's kind of a big deal. We were underway, but we added it in because we didn't want to have any deductions from meeting the current Major League standards. We changed the locker rooms to make sure they were the right square footage. We upgraded the lighting, so the lighting is brighter on the field, and a lot of that has to do something interesting. A lot of that has to do with the cameras and the media. So a lot of scouts are watching these games, and it allows them to cut down on travel a little bit with higher resolution and quality. But there's been a variety of changes, from materials that we're going to use for the roof or the brick. The basic footprint of the building remained the same, and then there were a lot of additions to how do we create this as a all-in family venue. You know, we added in a playground area for kids. They have some inflatables again for kids, keeping it family oriented. And then there's a couple of more relaxed, not your typical stadium seating areas. So there's some patios with patio tables, and then an area in the right field for the adults. It's a right field bar and concessions area, and then put in tables and chairs over there. So there are a lot of different things that went into designing this, and a lot of influences from Major League all the way to the major donors and what they wanted to see.
Thank you so much for your time. It was really fun listening to everything.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to contact Mark or CareerTalk.
Thanks.
Woohoo!